Job interviews. Did you mean advanced lying? Small talk. Did you mean normal lying? The concept of the self. Did you mean secret lying? Don't call me out like this. A to-do list. Did you mean aspirational lying? What did I just say? Vampires have been drinking human blood for centuries. They don't give a fuck about guys on 8 different antidepressants. They were sucking on asbestos factory workers. The absolute hilarity of imagining some older vampires hectoring younger ones. Back in my day, I had to drink blood with radium in it, and I liked it. We glowed in the damn dark for weeks. All the major socials? This fucking website will never die. For future confused Tumblr cockroaches, this post is about Facebook and its affiliated sites, Instagram and WhatsApp, temporarily crashing on October 4th, 2021. We all gather together to celebrate our refusal to fucking die and put a collective middle finger up to Mark Zuckerberg. Like or reblog to flip Mark Zuckerberg off and receive good vibes. Additional context. Apparently this outage is global, longest thus far in Facebook's history, and follows close on the heels of a whistleblower coming forward with proof of Facebook knowing the way their sites run causes harm. Yep, I remember that day pretty well. I was pretty grateful that Tumblr didn't die amongst all of those, but WhatsApp being down really sucked. Well, it's a year later, so happy October 4th! Vampires are probably the least scary monsters. The sunlight kills them and they're extremely allergic to garlic. Am I supposed to be afraid of that? This is like the instructions you get when dog-sitting a 17-year-old Pomeranian. Girls who learned all their vocab from books and are now constantly embarrassing themselves by pronouncing words slightly wrong in conversation. The way I have to think for a full minute before saying either automaton or banal. Until I was 15 years old, I pronounced misled as misled. Ugh. It offends me to correctly pronounce buried, scions. I said it completely wrong for years. Catter, mahogany, apoplexy, chasm, macabre, unique, fatigue, reprise, epitome, colonel. Writing is not about telling an epic story or making something that will outlive you. Writing is about going, you know what would be fucking awesome? And then committing word crimes. It's also about going, would this be fucked up or what? And then committing word crimes. My 4-year-old points to the label on my tea bag. What does that say? Me. It says, over 300 years of experience. It means the people at Twinings have been making tea for 300 years. Her. Dramatic gasp. They haven't even died? Me. Whispering. Tea vampires. Immortality. You may live forever, but there is a steep cost. The most Tumblr punchline. I've noted before that my favorite punchline on Tumblr is, hang on, gotta look something up. Okay, that's funny. Let me explain why. It is a way to say, I don't get it, without blaming the joke or the teller. It is a tacit admission of ignorance without shame or judgment. It assumes responsibility for acquiring the knowledge the respondent doesn't already have. It cues other people who don't get it to do the lookup themselves, allowing them to get that full impact of getting it without derailing the post with explanations. It gives subsequent readers, whether or not they get the joke, a little frisson of good feelings when they realize that someone else is now in on the joke. It not only makes the original joke funnier, it gets funnier the more often it's used. Relationships are not a game. Quit the, well, they didn't answer my text for 2 hours yesterday, so now I'm gonna wait 2 hours to answer theirs. Quit the, I'm not gonna tell them that I'm upset, because if they really care, they'll notice, and if they don't notice, they don't really care. Quit the, I'm not gonna text first, because it's their turn. Quit all of that. If you want to talk to them, talk to them. If you want to see them, ask them if they want to hang out. If you care about them, let them know. If you have something to say it. Stop playing all those silly mind games. It's a waste of everyone's time. My favorite ADHD general executive dysfunction feeling is when you become very consciously aware that you are bored and there is nothing interesting left on the 5 social media apps you've been cycling around for the past hour, and finally a small logical part of your brain goes, hey, perhaps at this point it might actually be more fun to do one of the productive things you've been putting off. And you're this close to going, oh, yeah, maybe that's true, and getting up to do some housework or read a book or something when a far louder part of your brain goes, no, wait, maybe this time when we refresh Tumblr, it will be interesting again. And you're like, oh, right, sorry for doubting you, boss, and promptly get right back to doing fuck all. How dare you call me out like this? Some of you need to make your bed and have a shower with soap that smells nice, and then sit in a chair near the window and have tea with milk, and read a hardcover book, and see how your creative block is after that, to be honest. I'm not saying creative block isn't a real or difficult phenomenon. I'm saying creatives have a tendency to neglect themselves physically and emotionally in favor of manic bursts of productivity. A little softness and clean sheets and a bagel will go a long way. Make a playlist and light the fancy candle you've been saving for a special occasion. Life is a special occasion. Thinking about the time 2 years ago in AP US history when we had to answer if we thought Lincoln should be regarded as good or bad, and I said, I don't think anyone can be labeled good or bad with a simple binary. People are just too complex. I think it's more constructive to recognize both the achievements and faults of a person together, and to uphold the good they put into the world while condemning their issues, and try to move forward with that knowledge without putting them on a pedestal. And my teacher was like, yes, this exactly. And I never admitted to anyone that I originally came to this philosophy because of Veriska, Lincoln. Not to be fake deep, but admitting you fucked up and saying you're sorry is 100 million times more rewarding than defending flawed views or thoughtlessly, if unintentionally so, actions. 10 out of 10 would recommend. It's not losing face, it's earning respect. This is literally how you know you're an adult. I'm sorry I snapped at you. I'm cranky, but that doesn't excuse taking it out on you. I'm sorry I screwed this vital thing up. I thought I had it under control and didn't. Can we fix it by XYZ? I'm sorry I forgot we had plans tonight. I was distracted, but this is important to you. Let's do the thing. A sincere I'm sorry are 2 of the most powerful words in the English language. I hate to be this person because I used to roll my eyes at people who told me this, but finally making myself go through uncomfortable situations for the possibility of joy has resulted in me being happier than I ever could have imagined being. I do think that you should always listen to yourself, but I prevented my own happiness for a long time by not knowing how to tell intuition from overthinking and being too afraid and sticking to negative what-ifs when I should have been sticking to positive what-ifs. Not every venture outside your comfort zone will result in some revelation that moves the earth under your feet, but the probability of it is 0 if you never venture out. I like Marie Kondo because I'm so used to all the rhetoric around decluttering or tidying up being about how it's somehow immoral to own things and that we need to burn our possessions and all live in sterile minimalist hell in a plain white apartment with a deck chair and 1 potted plant. So I like hearing the tidy lady tell me that, yes, I should live in a hovel with a bunch of linguistics books and dragon statues, and here are some ways to keep the hovel clean and orderly while I lurk in it. It's so refreshing. All the other home decor people. Kitschy nerd shit is a waste of space, and you're gonna get your soul devoured by a chaos dragon or some shit if you don't get rid of all of it right now. Marie Kondo. See, if you organize the kitchen in this way, you can display those corn berserker miniatures far more prominently. The idea that you should model your life after what brings you joy, rather than what society or people think should bring you joy, is an act of rebellion. WoW players having to stand in line for a quest because a relevant NPC can only talk to 1 player at a time is the funniest image on the planet. I need to correct this. WoW Classic doesn't have any NPCs that can only talk to 1 player at a time. These lines actually formed for a quest NPC that players had to kill to complete the objective. Knowing that, I think this image is even funnier. Yep, it's basically like this. Literally this. My favorite is the guy saying, "This is like being at the DMV." I'm not a classicist, but I suspect one of the reasons so many of the Greek gods are portrayed so unflatteringly was less because they were seen as villains than because they represented their domains. Of course, Zeus sometimes misuses his power. That's what a king does. Of course, Artemis's wrath is wild and painful. That's what nature can be. Of course, Hades snatched away a young girl from her mother's arms. That's what death does. This is one of the reasons call-out posts for some gods comparing them negatively to nicer gods are kind of missing the point. As someone who is partially a classicist, this is a better analysis of Greek mythology as a whole than 99.95% of the takes I've seen on here, and a substantial number of the takes I've seen in academia. In Kung Fu Panda 2008, we see the Sword of Heroes, which, according to legend, is so sharp one can cut themselves simply by looking at it. This is in reference to— Ow! Fuck! TMI, but I was biting at a cuticle and it came off right as I scrolled down to see this, so technically my skin was severed as soon as I saw this sword. Oh no. I'm immune to mean and hurtful words because my friends say nice things to me every day and their love protects me. I'm immune to mean and hurtful words because my friends say mean things to me, so I'm prepared. I'm immune to mean and hurtful words because nothing anyone can say will be as bad as what I've said to myself. I'm immune to mean and hurtful words because my constant state of fury doesn't allow them to take hold. I'm immune to mean and hurtful words because I don't take shit on the internet seriously. I'm a weak-ass bitch, but I don't let it get me down. Tag yourself in the comments. Which one are you? All 10 of my followers are actually hostages I have tied up in an abandoned grain silo and am monologuing to. It's a very good monologue. Thank you, hostage number 3. It's true, I'm currently tipping myself over to lick grain off the floor. I am just pretending to be tied up because of peer pressure. The acoustics in here really adds to the dynamic quality of your monologue. Is it wrong to willingly want to be your hostage? Never before has the world seen such well-behaved and cooperative hostages. This is great. I'm gonna get a good grade in hostage. Any noun can become a verb if you don't care enough. This point is invalid unless you use an example in your sentence. I can sentence how I want, thank. Beautiful. You see, that's why I love English. I like to velociraptor around my house at 2 in the morning. Good. My headache makes me want to clothesline into a wall. Why do these make some semblance of sense? Because brains don't brain logically. Brains do brain logically. But when English doesn't logic Englishly, brain brains by itself to logic that English. I hate that this makes sense. That's English for you. So are you an obsessing over minor background characters who you find more compelling than the nominal protagonist due to a coincidental intersection of experiences fan? Or an anchoring your entire understanding of the material in random world-building details which the text is thoroughly uninterested in exploring and which probably had no greater thought put into them than, hey, wouldn't it be cool if, fan? What is a minor background character if not a world-building detail the text is uninterested in exploring? Good point, actually. The brain is just 8 pounds of meat that sits in complete darkness and plays a video game of what it thinks is the most realistic thing ever. It's 3 pounds, not 8. Also, it's not really meat, it's mostly fat with some water and salt. You have a wad of soggy bacon inside your skull. And this blob of gross, unprocessed jello somehow manages to run a complex biomechanical suit using less electricity than it takes to work a light bulb. And people wonder why humans are so fucking weird and have odd experiences that aren't actually real. I mean, if a bowl of tapioca pudding managed to hallucinate so vividly it invented calculus, it also going, dude, I heard a weird noise and I'm 100% sure it was the ghost of the neighbor's cat, which hasn't actually died yet, would be just as expected as anything else. OMFG, dying. I had 3 fic ideas. Wrote 1. I still have 3 fic ideas. This is not how math is supposed to work. Can this post please back up? It's too close to home. I had 5 ideas. I wrote 2. Now I have 7. Listen, they're called plot bunnies for a reason, and it's not just because they hop around all over your brain demanding attention. 99 fanfic ideas on my blog, 99 fanfic ideas, take one down, pass it around, 137 fanfic ideas on my blog. This post walked into my house and kicked in my ribs. So we have a very interesting picture here. It says English French toast, even though it doesn't look like French toast on the inside. It says American. There's a picture of pizza on the corner, even though this really doesn't look like it's selling pizza. There's Japanese lettering on the top and the bottom. I'm assuming that's some form of kanji or something. And then you have Made in China in the bottom right. My goodness. What makes it additionally worse is the red banner says German style. And isn't that the flag of Spain? This is a triumph of globalism. Indeed it is. What a disaster. Oh my god. The worst part of human adulthood is being your own zookeeper. Like, I have to make sure my meals are nutritionally balanced. I have to make sure that the space I occupy is big enough and interesting enough and provide enrichment to make up for the lack of novelty. I have to make sure I get exercise. I'm not qualified for this. Bro, I have to make sure I get to my own vet visits. I have to push myself into a carrier, and I don't want to get in the carrier. Why would you abandon this in the tags? 'Tis the season. Hoous poous. Trick or treat. Srooky. Trick or treat. Creepy. Do. Creary. Happy Halloween. Trick or treat. 10 fuckering lights. No wait, if you look really closely, it is 10 flickering lights, but oh my god, no one's gonna see that with the letters that close together. Come on. I put a spell on yoy. Time to get spoopy.